Okay, are we back in order here? I apologize about the technical difficulties here. Hopefully everybody can hear me this go around. I appreciate y'all's patience. This is always the fun thing about doing these webinars. Sometimes the technology just doesn't want to behave. But I thank you for everyone that stuck around while we got our systems configured and we got back up and running. I'm really glad that we're going to be doing this webinar here and getting all you guys real estate questions answered. What I was saying before we lost sound is that we actually had a lot of really great feedback from this event or from this webinar here. We had a lot of people that asked a bunch of really great questions. A lot of people that were really engaged with asking really hard-hitting, powerful, and exciting and interesting questions about real estate lead generation. So I'm pretty excited to be answering the questions that you guys have. And if you have other questions throughout the course of the webinar here, feel free to add them into the chat section. Definitely be looking to see what questions you guys have, assuming we have time and we can get to them. And of course, I'll go over a little bit here since there was a little delay on our end getting started. So first things first, I want to tell you guys a little bit about me. My name is Sam Monreal. For those of you that don't know, I come from the world of actually selling real estate, but I am also the head coach at Sam Monreal Coaching and Consulting. So a little bit about my background, in the real estate world, I actually helped manage and run on a day-to-day basis a high-producing real estate team right here in Austin, Texas. The team, the last year that I was involved, did about 83 million in production and actually made the Inc. 5000 fastest growing businesses of all businesses in all of the United States of America. So we rocketed to the top, we grew really fast, and the way that we did that was through lead generation. And in that role, I actually had 10 full-time ISAs. Well, what I do now, in addition to coaching real estate professionals just like you guys on the best practices for real estate lead generation, I also am one of the owners of a company called Rockerbox that basically does outsourced ISA work for inbound lead conversion for teams all across the U.S. On the Boomtown platform. And there we have about a team of 30 folks that are helping real estate professionals with their internet lead generation. So guys, trust me when I say that this is something that deep down in my heart I am passionate about, deep down in my heart I love, and I really care about. And I know that managing leads and handling leads in the best possible way is the fastest way to propel a real estate team's growth and to take it to the next level and to hit those big milestones that a team wants to hit in their growth goals. So let's get into the questions that you guys asked me. So as I showed you earlier, I've got a sheet printed out here of all of the different questions that, that folks have asked. So I'm going to kind of go in a different order here. So Andrew asks, what is the best nurture system you have seen/used? So not totally sure exactly if Andrew is asking that question from the perspective of calls or from the perspective of Boomtown or a CRM or a technology platform or something like that. But in my opinion, there are a lot of great CRMs out there. So let's talk about it from the technology perspective first. There are a lot of great CRMs out there. I personally am a big fan of Boomtown, mainly because I've been so invested in that platform. I've spent so much time learning and creating and cultivating expertise in that system. And it does a really good job of managing sort of your workflows as you're going from lead coming into your business to turning that person into hopefully a signed client and a closed deal. Now, with most real estate CRMs and lead generation platforms, I generally find across the board they're all a little bit deficient in some area or another. I really don't feel like there is a good system or solution for handling the entire real estate transaction from end to end. So, again, with real estate being such a fractured market and, still made up of a lot of, one-man shows and smaller teams and that kind of thing, there really just hasn't been a big technology player that has come out with that end-to-end full bore, soup to nuts real estate technology platform. That said, I was looking at a statistic on the number of, investment deals and venture capital deals that are happening in the real estate space. And it's definitely something that is continuing to grow in importance, and that we'll continue to see more enhancements and evolution. Now, to more thoroughly answer your question, Andrew, one of the best tools for nurturing leads that I've found is a predictive dialer or an auto dialer, particularly something like the Mojo system, which integrates within Boomtown. I know many of the folks on this call are familiar with Mojo and have seen that system and seen it used successfully. As far as the system and the follow-up, it really depends on whether you're talking about leads that have come into the system from your sphere, from repeat and referral, from inbound, and from outbound. So if we step back and look at what does a well-balanced real estate team, where do their leads come from? They basically are coming from three places. 1/3 of your leads should be from repeat and referral. 1/3 of your leads should be from inbound, basically web leads, and 1/3 of your leads should come from outbound prospecting. So in each of those different buckets, there's a very different set of activities that needs to occur in order to successfully nurture those things. Ideally, with your repeat and referral, those are folks that you already have a relationship with, so you communicate with them differently than you would potentially a lead that has come from outbound prospecting. And again, in the middle here, differently than you would somebody from inbound prospecting. So for instance, with inbound lead conversion, a brand new lead comes into the system of one of our clients over at Rockerbox. What we do is we call it within 5 minutes of registration, and then over the next 21 days, we call them 10 more times, send 4 text messages and 4 emails. Now, conversely, with outbound prospecting, you're just cycling through a big list of numbers until you actually get somebody on the line, until you actually make a connection with someone. Well, once you've actually had a voice-to-voice interaction with someone, you're following up with them based on the context of that conversation. If you talk to somebody and they say they're selling their house in 6 months, there really isn't a system that you can implement. You just need to follow up with that person in an appropriate amount of time so that you can pre-forecast when they're actually going to do a real estate transaction. So that's why I think it's important when thinking about the way you're nurturing your leads is to think about, where are these leads coming from? How did they get into my system? What relationship does this lead have with me or my organization? And what is the context of that relationship? And that really dictates the best way in which to nurture those leads. Okay, moving on here. Vicky asks, what pay structure keeps your inbound, outbound sales reps motivated? And what is the average yearly pay for an ISA? All right, this is a great question. This is a really, really great, meaty question here for those of you that have been considering ISAs, for those of you that have been considering how to have that piece of your business, somebody that is dedicated to prospecting, somebody that is dedicated to adding new leads to your database, adding new nurtures to your database. And a question that comes up a lot for me is, what do I pay that person? So I'm going to answer the pay question first, and then I'm going to answer the motivation question. So the way that I think about compensation for an ISA is I use a model called OTE. So that is the letter O, the letter T, the letter E. And what that stands for, guys, is on target earnings. I think everyone within a real estate organization should be compensated based on the philosophy of on target earnings. I think one of the worst things that we've done to ourselves in this industry is focus too much on splits. Splits. So many people are focused on getting high splits and agents thinking about splits, when in a sense, what that really doesn't have people focus on is, what am I actually going to earn if I'm producing at a certain level? Because if I can show you a way to close 40 or 50 deals a year, but you're only going to get a 40% split. Well, isn't that better than if you close 5 deals a year, but kept 100% of that money? Well, so this is the same philosophy that I apply when thinking about an ISA. So the first thing that I do with an ISA is think about, what does this role pay in like positions in other industries within my market? Because just like the prices of homes are all based on the market, the compensation structure for an ISA is also based on your market. So I happen to be standing in Austin, Texas today. It's a pretty expensive market. From an employment perspective, this is a very expensive place in order to hire staff. Now, where our call center is located in College Station, different story. An ISA is compensated very differently there. That's one of the reasons why we placed our call center there, is because it was a place where we could find amazing talent at a good price. So the first thing that you would do is to go on a place like salary.com or Glassdoor and find out what different prospecting-based roles. You can look at things like titles like sales development rep, or inside sales is definitely something to search for. Market development rep. Those terms are all analogous within other industries for ISA type work, somebody whose job is really to cultivate leads for an organization. So then you look at what those types of roles are paying and ultimately determine, how do I compensate this person so that what I'm offering them is competitive? For Austin, Texas, what that ultimately led us to pay was somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,500 a month plus 5 to 10% of GCI on the deals that they source. Now that's for an outbound prospecting type person. Now the next question that Vicky has here is, what is the pay structure that keeps inside sales or inbound and outbound sales reps motivated? And so this is really a great question, because there is no pay structure that keeps an ISA motivated. So let me repeat that again. There is no pay structure that keeps a person motivated. Pay is an extrinsic thing. Motivation is an intrinsic thing, right? If someone is not motivated, it doesn't matter how much you pay them. That is not going to create motivation in the long term. So there have been a lot of studies that have looked at how pay-based compensation and bonuses and things like that, do they actually motivate people long term? And the short answer is they don't. So what is the most important thing that you can do in order to motivate an employee is, I think, to build a culture and build yourself up as a leader, and really build your organization in a way that there's growth and there's room for opportunity, and that person sees the value that they're bringing to your organization. And it's more about helping your ISA or your person in any role within your organization feel it here, as opposed to feel it in their wallet. Because that level of motivation and that level of value and that kind of intrinsic belief structure is actually what is going to motivate a person long term to be successful in, quite frankly, a role that can be a little bit arduous and a little bit monotonous at times. But I'm a big believer in, as a leader, it is our responsibility to help elicit the value of what we offer as an organization in the minds of our employees, because really they're ultimately our most important customers, right? Your employees are the most important customers of your business, because they feed and fulfill the needs of the customers, the actual customers and clients of your business. And so you do have a responsibility to create the environment and to offer the things up that are going to make those folks successful in their role. All right, so Billy O, love Billy O, my favorite Hawaiian. He asked, other than calling my sphere and leads daily, what's the next best thing I can do to dominate my market? All right. So this is a really great question here, because I know a lot of folks out there really want to be that local market expert. They've invested the time, effort, and energy and resources into really dominating their market. So All of these strategies work. And remember, guys, there's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate. So let me give you some strategies and kind of put them on the spectrum of easy to and time consuming. So on the strategies that are more difficult are things like outbound prospecting, but they're the less time consuming. So for instance, the team that we were managing here in Austin, one of the ways that we found we were able to grow so fast is to be laser-like focused on outbound prospecting. I mean, having 7 people all day, every day, making outbound calls, that was one of the ways that we were able to dominate our market very, very fast. Now, some people don't necessarily find that they have the acuity or the desire or want to do outbound prospecting at a high level. So another strategy that you can deploy is door knocking. I've got a client in Vancouver, Canada, who absolutely dominates their market. And, you know, basically what their ISAs do is they spend the first half of their day doing outbound prospecting, calling, you know, neighborhoods and making calls to people. And then they spend the second half of their day door knocking. And they spend the second half of their day door knocking in a very focused market, in a very focused area where they do a lot of business already. And they continue to reinforce that they are the local market experts. So again, guys, in real estate, old school is the new school. Picking up the phone and making calls and knocking on doors, it sounds old school, it sounds low tech, but you know what? It is. And the reason people still talk about those strategies is because they work so well. You know, real estate at the end of the day is a contact sport. It's about the number of touches that you can make when getting in contact with somebody. That's really where you're going to provide the most value. All right, and then the final thing that you can do to really dominate a specific area, Billy O, is direct mail. So again, on one end of the spectrum, we've got outbound prospecting, which is very immediate, but very labor intensive. You've got door knocking, which is maybe a little bit less labor intensive, but not quite as immediate because you can just get to only so many homes in a given day. I will say though, door knocking does have some pretty immediate results. I mean, if you're going and knocking on doors and talking to people face to face and getting a chance to sit down at their coffee table and talk about the real estate market, man, you made a serious impact, a serious connection on that person. And then the final thing to really dominate a specific area is direct mail. Direct mail is a marketing strategy, you know, whereas outbound prospecting and door knocking, those are sales strategies because you're trying to get in a two-way dialogue with someone. Direct mail is a marketing strategy. So again, guys, remember the difference between sales and marketing. Real easy test is there a two-way dialogue? That's sales. Is there a one-way dialogue? That's marketing. And a good one-way strategy is direct mail. Now, direct mail is time-consuming and it's expensive, but for folks that I know in the industry that have been doing direct mail for a very long time in a very focused area, man, I know one of the guys that was one of my mentors along the way. His team handled 1 out of 3 homes that were sold in a specific area. So he literally owned a third of the market because they had been so focused on you know, owning that market, really direct mailing that market, and getting very invested in having a relationship with as many people as they could in that market. All right, Allie asked if there's going to be a recording of this webinar. There absolutely will, and I'm going to send it out to you guys pretty much immediately after we're done today. I really appreciate those of you that can make it. We're going to keep going for a couple more minutes here because we've got a lot more questions to get to. And trust me, guys, we're going to be doing another one of these Ask Me Anythings. Pretty excited about the folks that attended today and the questions that got asked. All right. So next question that we have here is from Melissa. Melissa asked, what have you found to be the best 8x8 pieces for the best results? All right, guys. So again, I started out the last question by saying there's lots of ways to make money in the real estate game. And so I actually, when I saw this question, it got me really going back to my Millionaire Real Estate Agent book and really looking back at exactly what they're talking about in the 8x8. And so, you know, for those of you guys that are familiar with that book, what Gary and his team did was interview a lot of the different top agents from around the country and kind of put together a set of best practices. And so, and I was looking at some of the different recommended 8x8s out there, things that involve face-to-face meetings and dropping a handwritten note and, newsletters and birthday cards and all of these different touches that you can do. Frankly, for me, as a prospecting-based real estate professional, the 8x8 strategy isn't necessarily something that I would deploy were I to get back into residential real estate, or that I would recommend to one of my clients. The reason is because I think it's kind of slow, and it requires a lot of time, effort, and energy from the real estate professional. So I'm more along the kind of Mike Ferry prospecting school of real estate, as opposed to more the Brian Buffini, get really deep into relationships with a very tight group of people. So with the 8x8 strategy, I think you can achieve a lot of the same goals when you meet somebody via phone and email. So, I think a really robust strategy that you can deploy and really making an impact on somebody that is a new lead, basically a new lead within your system, is phone calls and text messages and emails. And I think that, if you're getting into a situation where somebody is an actual buyer, because here's the deal, if I'm going to be spending my time meeting somebody face-to-face as a real estate professional, I either want them to be a channel partner, somebody that can refer me a lot of business, or I want them to be a real buyer themselves, somebody that is looking to purchase a home here in the near term. So that's really why I recommend sticking with the phone, text, and email, because it's just a speed issue. It's just a speed issue because we're in a very focused day and age where people kind of are an instant gratification world. And I don't know if it's efficient for a real estate professional to do some of the things that are recommended in more traditional 8x8 campaigns. Okay. All right, so got some new questions coming in. I will definitely do my best to get to them, guys. Keep them coming. All right, so Paul asks, what exact system, combination of systems, direct mail, electronic drips, voice systems, explained in detail, do you use to convert seller leads generated via phone prospecting, like expireds, circle prospecting, home value? Okay, great set of questions here. So when you generate a lead from phone-based prospecting, I feel like there are two pieces of marketing collateral that should definitely go out. And I'm fine with them going out via email. But some folks actually like to have that hand delivered. I'm fine with email. So basically what we sent is basically a short document that was sort of like why we were one of the top listing teams in the country. It was very well designed. It was very well formulated. And then we also sent a yearly seller's guide. We generated a seller's guide every year with the help of some of the folks over at Keller Williams. We were a Keller Williams team, so we leveraged some of the marketing resources that they had available. Most of the big franchises are going to have similar marketing resources. So that's what we wanted to send as a follow-on to that initial conversation with a seller lead, seller nurture that we added to the database. Was one, why were we one of the top listing teams? Basically a piece of marketing collateral that laid all that out. And then one, there was a seller's guide that basically was about sort of like the condition of the market. Now, the final thing that we would send is sort of a quick and dirty CMA, not a full CMA, not a full especially if it's a nurture, especially if it's somebody that's not ready to come on the market right now. You would want to send them a little bit of information about what's going on in their market. I'm blanking on the name of the new kind of automated CMA product from NAR. Oh, RPR. RPR is the name of the reports. So most MLSs around the country have now integrated with the National Association of Realtors RPR reports. And those are a really fast way for you to generate some pretty good information about what's going on in a prospect's market. I would say that, be careful about sending those because they do kind of pull information. If you're in a non-disclosure state, in other words, the sold value is not publicly available, like here in Texas, some of those RPRs aren't that great. But again, I do like sending, specifically CMA information, especially if it's requested. Now, then beyond that, to follow up with people long-term, the number one most important thing that we did is stay in touch with them via phone. It's kept calling them, right? If somebody said they were ready to call and sell in 6 months, we would basically say half that time, call them again, keep calling them until you get back in touch with them. Calls, 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 calls. I can't stress calls enough. People always accuse me of being obsessed with calling people. Well, it's because in this industry, we have a bad problem of not calling people enough. Then the other thing that we would do is twice monthly database emails via a service like Viral Marketing. I think Viral has done a really great marketing campaign of getting a lot of folks in the industry to use video, the combination of video, emails, blogs, and social to connect with your database. So a couple of things happened every single month. We would take our entire database of new leads and add them to our Viral Marketing campaign. So they were getting emails twice a month from us. We would also add them to Facebook, invite them to like our Facebook page. And for those of you guys that want a really cool hack, you can create a custom audience within Facebook based on your database. So they don't have to like your page, but you can actually serve up ads and content. It costs a little bit of money, but really not very much. You can serve up ads and content to your database through that custom audiences feature in Facebook. So if you have an audience on social, or I'm sorry, if you have a database and you're not advertising to them on social, that's something that you can launch immediately. It takes 0 time to upload your database into Facebook, and you guys are going to get a lot of value of people just seeing your content, your information about your team, and it reinforces all of the cool marketing materials that you're already sending. So, Paul, I hope that was a good rundown there, and I hope you got some good nuggets there. All right. So John asks, what strategies work to keep one doing their daily prospecting as they should? John, I love this question. I really do. Because, guys, I'll admit, not every day I wake up and I'm like, woohoo, let's go prospect, right? I think that's I think that's a common thing that people experience. So I actually heard a story that that really impacted me the other day. This guy was basically saying, somebody in the room, tell me what are your non-negotiables. And some guy goes, smoking. I wouldn't let my employees smoke in the office. And he was like, why? And the guy listed off all these reasons. It's disgusting. It's unhealthy. Secondhand smoke is bad for you. It can cause cancer. He just listed off all of these different reasons that he had for smoking. And so the guy basically drew like a circle and put all these different legs under this circle. And it basically became like a table with like 15 legs. Well, the analogy that the guy used is if you took 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of those legs away, the table would still have 10 legs. That makes it a pretty solid table. Well, what happens, I think, when it comes to prospecting is as real estate professionals, we don't give our table enough legs. We don't give our table enough reasons why the activity that we're doing is really important. So it's always easy to replace it with something that feels easier, that's less stressful, that involves less rejection. So that's one of the things that you as a professional need to do when you're examining how you're setting up your business and how you're conducting your business on a day-to-day basis is go back and give those high-income producing activities like going on appointments and prospecting, give it more legs, really attach those activities to your big why and even list reasons above your prospecting station so that you can refer to them when you're having a bad day. And then another thing that I highly recommend is having an accountability partner. That's why it's much easier. I know it's crazy to think, but it's much easier to run a call center of 30 callers than it is a call center of 3 callers because you have more people that are holding each other accountable from a horizontal perspective. And then, guys, I not to kind of toot my own horn here, but coaching. get into coaching. Find a coach, get a coach, listen to what your coach says. I have got several coaches on our team that are exceptional at working with ISAs. As a matter of fact, one of my coaches has trained over 120 ISAs on their scripts, dialogues, and how to stay focused on a day-to-day basis. And another one of my coaches leads the lead generation department for the #7 Keller Williams team in the country. So if any of you guys would like a free coaching session with either of the coaches on our team, I'm going to drop a link here into the chat. Just drop in your information. We'll give you a free coaching session, and we'll go from there. So let me actually grab this link here, guys, so that you can sign up for that free coaching session. And, worst case scenario, you've invested an hour of your time with somebody that is exceptional at what they do and really understands how lead generation works at a high level. And best case scenario, you may have found a new coach that you really connect with and that you'd love to learn more from over time. So just go to that link that I've put right there. It's a contact page on sammonreal.com. Drop in your information. Trust me, it'll be one of the best things you ever did for yourself. All right, getting to the last couple of pre-asked questions here. Okay, Ali asked, what is the best source of quality ISA candidates? All right, guys, so there's two kinds of talent, right? Because we only want to be in business with talent. We only want to be working with highly talented individuals. So we have raw talent, folks that have not necessarily proven themselves yet, but have all the characteristics of being a talented individual. And then we have proven talent, somebody that's already battle-hardened, tested, been out there in the world. They've proven that they can do it. So with these two types of talent, proven talent is super expensive because they can demand more money because they've already proven themselves. Raw talent is untested, so a little less expensive. So, I'm just going to give you an example of what we do over at Rockerbox. Over at Rockerbox, our call center is literally across the street from a university of 60,000 people. Now, we didn't figure out how to do it right away. It totally took some time, but we got really good at identifying young, hardworking, focused individuals who were, still in college or recent college grads, and got really good at figuring out how to identify the folks that had the right set of characteristics in order to work a phone-based job in working real estate leads. So I know other, super successful real estate professionals like Mark Spain do a lot of recruiting on college campuses. One of the things I like about recruiting young folks, fresh out of college or even still in college, or, very early stages of their career, but from outside of the real estate industry, is because they don't have a bunch of preconceived notions. They don't have a lot of ideas in their head already about the way the real estate game should work. And so they come in and they're willing to learn, and they're teachable and they're coachable. So again, young talent, teachable, coachable, that fits the right characteristics on the DISC profile, which is going to be sort of like an ID, or DI is what I generally look for an outbound prospector. All right, Ali, hopefully that answered your question. Andrew Ford asks how my beard got to be so good. It's a lot of work, Andrew. It takes a lot of work to look just this okay. Then Andrew asks, do I like video emails like Viral and BombBomb? I love video emails. I think video emails are a great way to contact folks and stay in touch with them. Like I said, Viral Marketing, VYRAL, is a great firm that I have a lot of belief in. Andrew also referenced BombBomb. I think BombBomb is a great tool for once you have that very first conversation with someone, dropping them a BombBomb email, just letting them know that you're a real human being and that there's a real person behind the phone call, I think it's a really good tool. So I'm a big fan of video email. I think with the advent of, we're using Google Hangouts right now, streaming video on Facebook Live. I think the more you guys can put yourself out there in video, the better. I was literally looking at one of my YouTube pages the other day, and I was sort of embarrassed by how much video content I've shared out there, but it's because it's one of the quickest, most effective way to share a lot of information with somebody in a very short period of time, and for them to kind of get to know you. You know, I know some of you guys I haven't met face to face, but you know, you do start to develop a relationship with people over video, and that's what we're ultimately in, guys, as real estate professionals, is the relationship game. All right, we got a couple of questions in here. All right, Colin says, I've circle prospected your area pretty hard. I was on the phone about 5 to 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. I started with an average of 40 contacts per day. Lately, I'm averaging 5 a day. Wow. Since I'm an ISA, I wanted to get your thought on what to do if I've overcalled an area. All right, guys, this is a great question, man. This is a mind melter right here. So Colin is still working his behind off, I'm sure, but he's gone down from making 40 contacts a day, which I do think a good ISA should be making about 50 contacts a day. So you're right there in that high productivity range, to now making somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 a day. And Colin, you're exactly right. What you've done is worn out your list. You can absolutely overcall an area. You can overdo it, because eventually you've cycled through all the people who are going to answer their phone, and you're just left making 16 and 17 and 18 and 19 call attempts to the same phone numbers that don't answer. So Colin, you've got 2 options. You can either try a new area, so go to the neighborhood, the next neighborhood over, and get a new list in that neighborhood, or you can start over and get a brand new list in the area that you serve. But I would probably go over to a new neighborhood or a new area or a new part of town and give the neighborhood that you've been working a little bit of a rest. You know, stay in touch with all the nurtures you've collected, but definitely I would encourage you to move on to a new area. All right, Bill asks, with 7 ISAs making outbound calls, how many appointments per day were made? How many physical versus phone appointments? How many agents were going on these appointments? Okay, Bill, so let me first start off with the standards that I generally think a hardworking, productive outbound prospector can do. So I call it the 551, so it's easy to remember. It's 500 dials, so 500 dials using like a triple dialer like Mojo. Then it's 50 contacts, it's 5 nurtures, and 1 appointment. So 500 dials, 50 contacts, 5 nurtures, and a nurture is somebody that you've talked to that's an actual seller that meets your criteria that you can add to the database, and then 1 appointment. And people think, man, you're talking to a lot of people to only get 1 appointment. Well, that's because as an ISA, over time you learn what is a good appointment, right? You shouldn't be sending your listing specialist or your listing partner on appointments that are not high quality. And so, you know, those metrics right there, what I really keep in mind and what I teach my clients even today when it comes to dealing with what a productive ISA is doing on a day-to-day basis. And then Bill asks, how many were physical versus phone appointments? Okay, Bill, the only reason to set a phone appointment is as a total and complete last resort, or if somebody doesn't live in the area. They literally can't physically meet, because there's a lot of value in my mind with an agent actually sitting down and meeting with somebody face to face and seeing the property as well. So as an ISA team, we were always pushing for the face-to-face meeting, because that's ultimately where you're going to get the best results. And then you asked how many agents were going on those appointments. The agent team grew over time because the agents prospected it as well. But at that time, when we were running that full team of ISAs, you know, they were supporting about an equal number of agents, 1 primary listing specialist, and then several other listing and buying agents. Okay, let's see here. Jason says, are you only adding 2-year nurtures to the database, or you had anyone who you had a good conversation with that give you permission? So Jason asked a really good question here. If you want to add somebody to the database that you've had a good conversation with, add them. Stay in touch with them. But if it doesn't count as a nurture, and the reason that I like identifying really strict criteria around nurture, what a nurture is that you want to only be adding, you know, if you think about it from a perspective of a business owner is paying you to add high quality leads to the database. Well, you have to define what a high quality lead is. And for me, I only wanted my team to be adding people to the database that were less than 2 years out. I really wanted people that were within that window, because honestly, if you think about humans and the way that they interact with the world, something that's further than 2 years out, it sort of doesn't really mean anything anymore. It sort of loses its impact when it's that far out. With a 2-year timeline, you're getting people a little bit more locked down into a definitive plan. And if we're really truly trying to add sellers to our database, we want to add people that there's some definitive plan that they're actually trying to sell their home in the near future. Okay, and then Jason also says, adding 5 nurtures a day seems high to me. I've been getting 2 nurtures per day based on 20 contacts. Another great statement there. Jason, what that ultimately tells me is you need to up your contact game. So the math that I said was 50 contacts will give you 5 nurtures. Well, you're getting 20 contacts and getting 2 nurtures, so it's the same numbers. So, you know, it's essentially 1 out of every 10 people you're talking to, you're identifying as a nurture. So that's something where, you know, maybe employing a triple dialer, or, you know, sort of examining how you lay out your day, you know, to see how you can increase your level of productivity and just talk to more people. Remember, guys, it's a contact sport. You know, we only get into a conversation with somebody if we make those contacts. All right, guys, so we're getting down to the end of our time here. So I am going to invite you guys to something that's absolutely crazy, sort of a really pretty crazy offer that I've got going right now. I'm going to do something that, you know, because I really care about, you know, helping real estate professionals go to the next level and take their game to the next level. So guys, I am rolling out a private client mastermind. So this is something where we're going to have a private Facebook group where you can interact with other folks that are really trying to crack the code on this lead generation stuff. I'm going to personally moderate that group. You know, one of the things that I don't like about a lot of these Facebook groups that have popped up is it's, you know, there's nobody running the show. There's nobody that really has any expertise in anything. It's a bunch of agents that are trying to advise other agents, when in reality there are, you know, seasoned professionals out there that can be answering your questions about lead generation, about different tools and technologies. And so that's why I wanted to create my own group, a place where we can really dive in, ask the hard questions, you know, really come from a place of experience. And I'll be the first to say, if I don't know something, I'm going to go talk to my coach, or I'm going to talk to one of the other real estate professionals that run huge teams around the country, like Tim Heil or Ben Kinney or Mark Spain, that I have a relationship with. And so that's my promise to you guys, is that we're going to have an environment in our private mastermind where we're getting down and deep and we're getting nitty gritty. And you know what, guys, what I'm asking for this is where it gets really insane. $37 a month. So, you know, basically I've just added an offer that here into the webinar. It's $37 per month. I mean, if you really think about it, guys, you're probably spending more than $37 a month on fast food or Starbucks or, you know, some other guilty pleasure. Now, don't get me wrong, Starbucks can help you get through the day, but is it really helping you take your business to the next level? Well, this mastermind, guys, is something where it'll be intimate at first. We're going to add more people to it, but I really want each and every one of you to take advantage of it. I made it so cheap. There's almost no way that you can say no, because I truly believe that if we get together and we talk on a regular basis, I can help you take your real estate team to the next level, and we can go even deeper than we've gone today. So guys, take advantage of this offer. Click the add to cart button. You know, come join us in the mastermind. We'll send you all of the details about it, and it'll be an awesome place for you to interact with me and the other coaches that I have on my team, so that we can, again, help you get past whatever's holding you back, help you take your team to the next level, and help you make a lot of freaking money selling real estate in this business. Well, that's it for me, guys. I'm super excited that you guys had a chance to interact with me. We're going to be hosting more of these Ask Me Anything webinars. We're going to be answering questions in the private client mastermind, please don't forget to sign up. And please, if you're interested in a free one-on-one coaching session, click on the link that I posted in the chat window. We'd love to have one, either myself or one of our extremely experienced coaches work with you on your specific business. Looking forward to it, guys. Have a great week. Sell lots of houses.